It is Veterans Day, and today's interview is super special. Not only do we have one of the highest decorated members of the NYPD that's going to be speaking to you guys and girls, but he's also a retired lieutenant colonel major of the Army. You can't get more experience, knowledge than who's going to be speaking to you. So we got Retired Inspector Jimmy Cohn with us here at the Key. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, George.
Got a nice background going on. Where are you located right now?
Jupiter, Florida.
Palm trees. Oh,
flag,
look at that.
NYPD flag.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Enjoying retirement and doing well, I see.
I'm actually busy in retirement. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Great, great, great. So just to give everybody out there a quick background, Jim and I met probably in 1993-ish. I was a young cop in the 9th Precinct, and Jim was a newly assigned sergeant there. And I remember this like it was yesterday. It was either pre-roll call or post-roll call. He pulls me into, I think, the radio room, and he says, "Draw and present your firearm." And I'm like, all right. So I pulled the gun out. He looks at it, and I don't remember the words, but something like, "I want to make sure that this is clean because I tend to attract gun battles." Something like that, right, Jim?
It was pretty close, yeah.
So, yeah, I remember how it went down, but the wording, it was somewhere along those lines. So like I said, Jim is definitely one of the most highest decorated NYPD members, and thank God he's still alive. I don't know his departmental recognitions and his gun battles, but he's been through a lot. And besides that, he served overseas in a few deployments. Jim, you want to give a little background of your NYPD and your military to the guys and girls out there?
I did 31 years on the job. I also did 31 years in the New York National Guard. On the job, I started out as a cop in the Lower East Side. Then I went to Midtown North. From Midtown North, street crime, which was like really where I made my bones as a street cop. From street crime, I went to Bronx narcotics, made sergeant, went to the 9th Precinct where you and I met and we partnered up. And then back to street crime as a supervisor, and you came along with me. It was a great time. Great time to be a cop. After I think it was my 5th shootout, Louis Animo, the chief of department, gave me a break from the street. Knew I was a helicopter pilot in the Army, so I went to aviation. Made lieutenant out of aviation. 2002, went to Midtown South, then to the Intelligence Bureau. Got promoted to captain, went to the 3-2 as the XO, and then OCCB as Queens Narcotics, and then the CO of the Firearms Investigation Unit. And then my final command, my last 9 years, was as the CO of aviation.
That's some career.
It was a good time.
Yes. And I thank you again for taking me under your wing as a young cop, and then going to one of the most elite unit within the NYPD, the street crime unit, where the men and women did God's work there, and it's truly deserving of the recognition they got, and it's definitely missed nowadays. They would definitely need people like us back. It wouldn't work with the climate, but you need people like that back in the street.
It was a great unit.
It definitely was. So the main question I want to ask you, I just want to tell the audience out there is, becoming a supervisor is one thing. You study for 100-question multiple choice test. You can have a lucky Saturday. You can have 3 lucky Saturdays. Doesn't make you a good supervisor. You have to know how to lead. You have to keep the morale up. And like Jim's background and myself, we were working cops in every rank we worked. And I know for a fact, I would hear it when I was a captain and I would go out with the guys, that the troops respect people like me and you who actually did police work every rank as we moved up. And we were not just a boss because we passed an exam. We were out there, boots on the ground, with the men and women doing God's work. So, Jim, you're one of those guys, leaders that highly respected throughout the job.
Thank you. As well as you.
Thank you, sir. So, there's a captain exam coming up. After that should be a sergeant exam, lieutenant exam. All of them are coming up. The main point of this interview or little podcast is for you to give advice to the men and women that are studying for any promotional exam in the NYPD. What advice would you give them, and what helped you pass and do well on all three of your exams?
I can tell you what worked for me, but just to reiterate what you just spoke about, you can pass an exam and become a supervisor. It doesn't make you a leader. You have to lead by example. You have to lead from the front. You cannot ask your people to do anything that you are not willing to do yourself. And you have to demonstrate that. And you got to get out there and you got to lead the charge. And the cops will respect you. And then some will even try and emulate you and rise up the ranks as well as you did. So what worked for me? I made sure I broke down my patrol guide, and no matter where I was or what I was doing, even if I was on vacation, I always had a couple of pages with me, 10, 15 pages, no matter what I was doing. If I got a 5-minute break, I would review them. To carry around that giant book was crazy. But if you break it down and you always have that information with you and you continuously reading it and rereading it, you're gonna learn that information. It's going to become second nature. Another thing I did, and I got this from, I got to give him credit. So I went to many different schools. Mike Julian, PTS, Bill, the former chief of detectives, he had a school pass. Banks had a school, but the key, Jimmy Shea, who I was, we were sergeants with, I found to be very good. So you got to go to one of the schools, and I recommend you go to the key because it worked for me. It got me promoted to captain. I was number 10 on the captain's list. The other thing I did, and I'll take this from Mike Julian, as I was reading through my study material, if I saw a time, a date, a week, I made a list. If it was anything that pertained to one day, it was under one day. Anything pertaining to 1 week, it was under 1 week. Anything that had to do with a time or a number, I had probably about 5 pages of numbers and dates and lists. So after a while, I knew if something was 30 days, I knew it because I had it on my 30-day list. And also acronyms. Acronyms help immensely to help you remember the information. If I went, I can tell you right now, it seemed like whenever I was on a ski trip, there was a promotional exam coming up. So I would ski the morning, and they would all laugh at me, but I got promoted. And then I'd break for lunch, and then everybody would go out and ski the afternoon. I'd kick off my boots, go sit by the fire with a cup of coffee, and I would study until 4 o'clock when everybody came off the mountain. And then I would have, happy hour with everybody else. But it's important to stay focused on your studying. And you have to have a routine. My routine, I always had information with me. I always had 5 or 10 pages of the patrol guide with me, a handout from a class. I would print out my lists with all the numbers and all the acronyms, and I would just review them and review them and review them. And before you know it, it's on the top of your head. And the answers will jump off the page for you.
Definitely. So we both took the same captain exam, and I like your idea about breaking down the list with days and numbers and time frames. I wish you didn't tell me that as we were studying, because you did better than me on the captain exam, but that's a great study tool. This whatever works for you guys and girls, use it. But what Jim said with that is big. And I always preach acronyms. I'm big on acronyms. I remember on my sergeant exam, I went in, the bell rang, and I filled out front and back of the scrap paper acronyms within like 2 minutes, where they accused me of cheating, and IAB came in the room. I said, give me a paper, I'll do it right now in front of you again. Because that was in my head, and it's right there on the paper. When the question came, boom, I looked at my acronym list, and no sweat, I got the question right within less time, and I moved on to the next question. And so acronyms are big. I like, for the guys and girls that are starting to study, do the number list like Jim said, right? There's a lot of different things you could do to help you excel. It's actually easier now, Jim. We've evolved with technology. Patrol guide is on everybody's phone. Our lesson plans are going to be on everybody's phone. Our audios and videos of our classes. They don't even have to carry anything anymore besides their phone or a laptop or a tablet. It's much easier nowadays to prepare. There's no excuse for
You know,
anybody.
that's a good point. I mean, pretty much all of us, unless you live in the city and you're 15 minutes from your command, pretty much all of us are spending an hour to an hour and a half in the car going in, and an hour to an hour and a half in the car going home. I had cassette tapes that I made myself, and I would listen to them while I was commuting to work. I didn't listen to the radio for music. That was for after the exam. I would listen to my cassette tapes. I'm kind of dating myself, but I would listen to my tapes on the way in and on the way home, and it helps to review and just lock that information into the mind.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, that's the cassette tapes was that was when Jimmy Shea would sit in his office, not on job time, by the way, sit in his office when he's off duty and just read into a tape recorder the lesson plan. And we've evolved so far, but that's technology. It's all good stuff for the guys and girls out there. We have it. We're with our captain course and our sergeant's course. We're releasing a question app that's going to have over 5,000 questions right there in your phone, right at your fingertips. Like, how could you not take advantage on any downtime, just banging through questions or banging through a procedure that's giving you trouble? Like, it's there for you guys and girls now, man. It really is.
So, my advice to your students: study hard. You're going to be doing this job for 20 years. You might as well get paid what you deserve to be paid. And a captain makes twice what a cop makes. I won't even tell you what my pension is, but I'm living pretty good down here in Florida. If I didn't study, I wouldn't be living where I'm living, and I wouldn't have the quality of life that I have. And the other thing is, I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Being a member of the NYPD, the decision making that you make as a cop, sergeant, lieutenant, captain out there on the street, the critical incident management, the emergency management, sets you far and above the regular guy that just went to Harvard and now he's a businessman. They can't shine your shoes for what you do every day as a cop in New York City. It's the amazing amount of experience. And when you retire, especially if you retire with some type of rank, there's people out there that want you. You get to go into consulting, and these people are amazed. They may have a lot of money, but they don't have the knowledge that you have or the experience that you have as a New York City cop.
100%. It's better to retire with rank if you're looking to do something after the fact. Guaranteed, you're much more marketable. 100%.
100%.
Jim, thank you for jumping on, and thank you for being a friend, a mentor, a leader, and most importantly, thank you for your service to our country on this Veterans Day.
Well, you're quite welcome, George, and thank you for your friendship and looking out for me all those years. And to everybody taking the exam, good luck, God bless you, and stay safe.
All righty.